He's still going, he's still mad.
Offset got shot outside a casino in Florida, Lil Tjay got arrested the next morning, and the whole thing started over $10,000. We got a man who used to pull up to the Grammys with Cardi B, a man whose group Migos literally changed the sound of hip-hop forever, a founding member of one of the most influential rap trios of the last 20 years, and fam got beefing in the streets over 10 racks. But here's the thing, this ain't really about the $10,000. No cap. That money was just the match that lit a fuse that had been sitting there for a while. Because when you really dig into this story, layer by layer, what you're actually looking at is two men who were both already carrying weight before they ever crossed paths: trauma, close calls with death, careers at crossroads, ego, pride, and all of that volatile energy found a single spark. And that spark, it exploded on the night of April 6, 2026 in a valet area in Hollywood, Florida. Y'all need to hear this, start to finish. Let me break it all the way down. To understand how we got here, you need to understand who Tion Jaden Merritt is. Because Lil Tjay is not some industry plant who got put on through connections. This is a Bronx kid who came up the hard way, and that context matters when you understand how he moves. He was born April 30th, 2001 in the Fordham neighborhood of the Bronx. Single mother household. 2 younger siblings. He's described himself as the problem child of the 3. Always in school fights, always into some petty robbery type stuff. At 15 years old, he got arrested for robbery and was sentenced to a year at a youth detention center. Now here's where the story gets crazy, because that detention center is literally where hip-hop found him. Locked up at 15, this kid starts writing raps. One of those songs is called Resume. He gets out, throws it on SoundCloud at 16 years old, and the internet goes stupid over it. Within the first 10 months of putting music out, Jay had 5 tracks with over 1 million plays each. He competed at a showcase in New York City in March 2018 and won, and an A&R from a major label was in the room watching. Shortly after, he signs with Columbia Records. Brothers becomes his breakout record, then FN, then Calling My Phone with 6 lakh debuts at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, the highest charting single of his career. His album Destined to Win hits number 5 on the Billboard 200. The Bronx Justin Bieber, that's what people are calling him. He's performing at Rolling Loud with Migos, Travis Scott, Kid Cudi. He is on trajectory, but this is hip-hop. The streets don't care about your chart positions. June 22nd, 2022, Edgewater, New Jersey. Lil Tjay gets shot 7 times during an attempted robbery. 7 times, gang. He takes bullets to his lungs, his neck, his chest. He gets airlifted to Hackensack University Medical Center and goes straight into emergency surgery. For days, there are no real updates. Rumors start swirling that he's paralyzed, that he's brain dead. His fans are in full panic mode on social media. On July 1st, word comes through that he's alive and alert, but it takes until August 24th for him to finally post a video himself wearing a neck brace, telling the world he's coming back stronger than ever. 2 days later, he drops Beat the Odds, a song literally about surviving that moment. The music video shows footage from his hospital bed. Now understand what that does to a person psychologically. When you get shot 7 times at 21 years old and survive that, you already beat death once. That changes how you think about everything. About money, about disrespect, about people who waste your time, because you know how fast it can all be over. He comes back and releases his 3rd album, 222, in 2023. Then Farewell in 2024. By 2025, there's even a documentary being developed about his life story, greenlit for introduction at Cannes. The kid is still moving forward. That's who Lil Tjay is walking into 2026, a survivor, Bronx raised, proud, short fuse when it comes to people trying him. Now on the other side of this story, you've got Kiari Kendrell Cephas, born December 14, 1991 in Gwinnett County, Georgia. This is a man who is a full decade older than TJ, and he has lived 10 lifetimes in that decade. In 2008, him, his cousin Quavo, and Quavo's nephew Takeoff form a group called Migos. They are just some kids from Gwinnett at this point. Nobody is checking for them, but they keep grinding. 2013 comes around and they drop Versace. The internet starts paying attention. Then in 2017, Bad and Boujee hits number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, and the whole culture shifts. Offset's verse on that song alone had people losing their minds. Migos had cracked the code on trap music, and the entire industry started following their blueprint. But Offset's personal life has always been complicated. In September 2017, he secretly marries Cardi B in Atlanta. They become one of hip-hop's most high-profile couples. Chaotic, dramatic, but undeniably magnetic to the public. Cheating rumors, breakups, makeups, the whole nine. Then November 2022 hits and the entire Migos universe cracks at its foundation. Takeoff, just 28 years old, gets shot and killed outside a bowling alley in Houston. It wasn't some planned attack, wasn't a beef that had been building publicly. By all accounts, Takeoff was an innocent bystander caught in a moment that went sideways over a dice game. Gone. Just like that. For Offset, this is devastating in a way that no number of streams or dollar amounts can fix. He told USA Today in 2024, "The pain of losing Takeoff never goes away. He carries his cousin's photo everywhere. That grief lives in him." Migos officially disbands in 2023. Offset goes fully solo. He releases Set It Off in 2023, then Kiari in 2025, an album he described as his rebellion record. Him refusing to be what people want him to be. Him asserting his own identity outside of the group that made him famous. But here's the reality on the ground. Outside of the Migos era, Offset has not been lighting up the charts the way he used to. The streaming numbers don't hit the same. The public narrative around him has shifted from Migos legend to Cardi B's ex-husband. In August 2024, Cardi B files for divorce. He's now navigating that publicly while also trying to rebuild his solo career. Reports surface about tax debt issues, a seven-figure IRS situation. The IRS is making demands while the divorce plays out. And somewhere in the middle of all that personal turbulence, Offset is allegedly showing up at casinos. Now here's where it gets real. January 2026, Lil Tjay gets on a Twitch stream, live, in front of his audience, and he starts telling a story. He says he ran into Offset at a casino some time back, and what he witnessed completely changed how he sees the former Migos rapper. His exact words paint a picture. Why did I diss Offset? Offset is broke. I'll tell y'all a true story. I seen the end guy in the casino. He was popped and panicking. He was asking random people for cash apps. He was broke. I don't know what happened. Nobody was answering his phone calls. He was trying to run up, chasing. He must have a gambling addiction. Then TJ drops the part that really sets things on fire. He says he saw approximately $13,000 going out in loans in that casino setting that day. He says he personally loaned Offset money, $10,000, and he says Offset has been dodging him ever since, not answering calls, not paying him back. And then, and this is the detail that really tells you how Tjay feels, he says, "Mind you, I'm 23, and this is Raindrop, Drop Top Cardi B's husband." He's referencing Offset's most iconic cultural moment, the Bad and Boujee lyric that went viral, and using it as a punchline. As if to say, this man is supposedly a legend and he's out here broke, borrowing from someone half his age and then ducking their calls. The disrespect Jay is communicating isn't just about the money, it's about the audacity, the nerve, the fact that Offset of all people would take from a younger artist and then vanish. Now here's the real tea. Offset doesn't let it slide. He hits back publicly, but his response is more of a vague warning than a direct address. He posts something to the effect of saying Tjay is probably talking about the wrong person, which doesn't exactly deny the story. It just clouds it. And Tjay, reading that response from his Bronx perspective, sees it as weak, sees it as someone who knows they got exposed trying to save face. So Tjay keeps going. By March of 2026, Lil Tjay is still on Offset's neck, and now he's not just talking on streams, he's putting it on Instagram for the world to see. He posts a photo flaunting jewelry, dripped out, very intentional, and the caption is a direct shot. "I could never be broke like said Offset running off making smoke over lunch money. I'ma have to smoke on 100 streams for it to get to all that." Translation? He's saying Offset is out here wilding out over what amounts to nothing, pocket change, while TJ is comfortable. He's saying the beef itself is small to him because Offset is small to him now. And this is where it flips, because up until this point, you could argue Offset was playing it somewhat cool, trying to position himself as unbothered. But this Instagram post, this crosses a line. This is public humiliation. This is a younger artist putting a veteran on blast for the culture to see, and the culture is watching. Offset fires back with a challenge. He posts calling for a one-on-one live confrontation. "Let's hit on live. I'll fly to you. This ain't gonna stop the fell off allegations. Meet me in New York and give me a one-on-one live." Let me break this down for you, because what Offset is doing here is actually significant. He's not just responding to an insult. He's trying to regain narrative control. The fell off allegation is the one that cuts deepest for him. Because in the court of public opinion, outside of Migos, that's the whisper that's been following Offset for years. That without the group, without Cardi B, without Bad and Bougie, he doesn't have the same gravitational pull. And Tjay is poking directly at that wound. By inviting Tjay to a live, Offset is trying to flip the script, to look like the one who isn't scared, the one taking action, the one who handles business directly. But Tjay doesn't take the bait the way Offset wanted him to. Instead of agreeing to some clean social media confrontation, Tjay keeps moving on his own terms. The beef is now fully public. Hip-hop Twitter is watching. The blogs are running stories. People are picking sides, a lot of them siding with Tjay because the story he told about the casino resonates. Not because Offset is confirmed broke, but because the details are too specific to completely dismiss. The mention of cash apps, the panicked behavior, the loans. You don't make that up on a Twitch stream with that kind of specificity. And just below the surface of all this social media noise, something else is building that nobody can see yet. Monday, April 6, 2026, Hollywood, Florida, the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. One of the most well-known casino entertainment complexes in South Florida. Celebrities through there all the time, high rollers, industry people. The kind of place where you can lose 6 figures on a Tuesday and still get comped a suite. At approximately 7 p.m., something happens in the valet area outside the hotel. What we know, Lil Tjay and Offset were both there, together, at the same casino, on the same night. Now think about that for a second. These two men who have been publicly beefing since January, trading shots on social media, one accusing the other of being broke and ducking him over a loan, they end up at the same spot on the same night. Was it planned? Was it a coincidence? Was there a conversation that was supposed to happen? Some kind of resolution, some kind of confrontation that went sideways? The full story hasn't been confirmed yet. But what is confirmed is that something popped off. A physical altercation breaks out in the valet area. And then shots are fired. Offset goes down. He's hit. He gets transported to Memorial Regional Hospital in Hollywood. His representative releases a statement. Can confirm Offset was shot and is currently at the hospital receiving medical care. He is stable and being closely monitored. Seminole police confirm the shooting. Non-life-threatening injuries. The situation, they say, was contained quickly. 2 people are detained at the scene. Social media erupts in real time. DJ Academics jumps on and claims that Lil Tjay was also shot in the incident. That claim spreads like fire on social media. Both shot becomes the trending narrative within minutes. People are going crazy. The internet is moving faster than the facts. But here's what really happened according to authorities. Lil Tjay was not shot. He was detained. Then, the following day, April 7th, he's formally arrested and booked into Broward County Jail. The charges? Disorderly conduct. And operating a vehicle without a valid driver's license. Not attempted murder, not assault with a deadly weapon. Disorderly conduct and no valid license. That is what he is officially charged with. Now here's where people started connecting the dots and the internet went absolutely crazy trying to fill in the blanks. Tjay's attorney, Dawn Florio, the same lawyer who represented him during his 2023 gun possession arrest, hits Instagram on April 7th and issues a statement. She shuts down every claim that Lil Tjay was involved in the shooting and makes clear that her client has not been charged with anything connected to firing a weapon. She's emphatic. She's clean in her language. No waffling. But here's the thing the streets are sitting with. If Tjay wasn't the shooter, who was? Police detained 2 people. Tjay is one of them. The investigation is ongoing. No one has been charged with actually pulling the trigger on Offset as of this moment. And in that vacuum of official information, speculation runs wild. Some people online are saying there was a third party involved. Maybe someone from one of their entourages. Maybe someone who rolled with one of them to the casino. Others are saying the altercation itself, which Tjay is charged with disorderly conduct for, escalated into the shooting. That maybe the physical fight between them is what triggered whoever had the gun to use it. What makes this story even harder to unpack is the sheer detail of their history together. Think about this timeline. Tjay says he personally loaned Offset money at a casino. Now they both end up at a casino together months later. A fight breaks out at the valet, Offset gets shot, Tjay gets arrested. The dots are right there on the page. Whether they connect the way people think they do is what the investigation needs to determine. And here's something else nobody is really talking about. Lil Tjay himself has been shot 7 times before. He knows what it is to catch bullets and survive. He is not foreign to that world. He made an entire song about it. He built his entire comeback narrative around surviving violence. So the idea that this man would be in a situation like this, regardless of his role, is not some random fluke. It is consistent with the reality of the world he comes from and the world he still moves in, even as a successful recording artist. That's the part that keeps getting glossed over in mainstream coverage. These aren't just two celebrities beefing over petty stuff. These are men who grew up in environments where confrontations like this have real consequences, where pride isn't just an emotion, it's currency, where $10,000 isn't even really about the money, it's about being disrespected and letting it slide. The hip-hop community's reaction has been swift and complicated, because on one hand, nobody wants to see Offset shot. The man just lost Takeoff 3 years ago. He watched his cousin die from gun violence, and now he's in a hospital bed himself. There's genuine sympathy for what he's going through, regardless of the beef. At the same time, the streets have been keeping tabs on this situation since January. A lot of people in the comment sections, on Twitter, on Instagram live shows, they're not exactly shocked. When two men with that level of unresolved tension end up in the same physical location, things have a way of escalating. That's just reality. Cardi B, who shares 3 children with Offset and whose divorce from him is still not finalized, she has not issued a public statement. Her silence is notable because Cardi doesn't usually stay quiet when it comes to her family. The fact that she hasn't said a word publicly tells you either she's processing it privately or she's been advised to stay away from this particular fire. And from a legal standpoint, the situation is still very much in motion. Tjay's charges are misdemeanors right now, but the shooting investigation is separate from those charges. Police still have an open case on who actually fired the weapon that hit Offset. That means anyone present that night could theoretically face further scrutiny as the investigation develops. Nothing about this is closed yet. For Tjay specifically, this comes at a moment when his career momentum was genuinely building. The documentary about his life was announced in 2025. He had releases in 2024 with Farewell. He had been on that grind of proving his comeback was real. Now his name is attached to one of the biggest rap incidents of 2026, and not in a good way. For Offset, the physical recovery from non-life-threatening injuries is one thing. But the narrative recovery, that's a different kind of challenge. Because the dominant story heading into this event was already not flattering for him. Lil Tjay had been painting him as broke, as a man with a gambling problem, as someone who ducks his financial obligations. Now, whether it's fair or not, the optics of getting shot in a valet area during what appears to be an altercation connected to that very beef, that adds another layer to a narrative he already couldn't shake. And let's not forget, this isn't Offset's first experience with gun violence in his orbit. He's had his own legal troubles over the years. He was present when things went wrong in Houston with Takeoff. He's navigated chaos before, but now at 34, with kids, with a divorce in progress, with the weight of Migos' legacy on his shoulders, you gotta wonder what goes through his mind lying in that hospital bed. Here's where I'm gonna zoom out, fam, because this story is bigger than two rappers beefing. What we are watching in real time is the consequence of what happens when rap beef, which has always been performative to some degree, always existed partly for entertainment, partly for positioning, bleeds into real life without any circuit breaker. Think about this. Lil Tjay went on Twitch and put Offset on blast publicly. The internet ate it up. The blogs ran it. The comment sections were fire. It was entertaining. It got clicks. It got streams. It generated conversation. And from a content standpoint, it was working for Tjay. It made him look bold. It made him look real. It made him look like someone who doesn't let disrespect slide. But what it also did was create a public humiliation for a man who has pride, a man who has ego, a man who, rightly or wrongly, still sees himself as a legend of the culture. And when you put someone in that position publicly, when you strip away their dignity on a live stream for the culture to laugh at, real recognize real, that man is going to do something about it. That's not justifying anything that happened on April 6th. We're not saying violence is the answer. We're not glorifying what went down in that valet area. But we are keeping it 100 about what the culture sometimes enables. The beef was entertaining right up until somebody got shot. And this plays into a broader pattern that hip-hop has been grappling with for years. The gap between the social media version of beef and the real-world consequences. On Instagram and Twitter, beef is a performance. It's clout. It's content. But behind the scenes, there are real people with real pride, real entourages, real tempers, and real access to weapons. And sometimes the performance becomes the reality in a split second. We lost Nipsey Hussle, we lost Pop Smoke, we lost PNB Rock, we lost Young Dolph, we lost Takeoff. Every single one of those situations started with some element of beef, conflict, or circumstance that then escalated into violence. And now we're sitting here talking about Lil Tjay and Offset, two artists who are both alive, thankfully, but who are now entangled in a situation that could have far worse legal and personal consequences than anything that happened on social media. For TJ, this is the second time he's been at the center of a violent incident. The first time, he was the victim. This time, the public doesn't fully know what role he played, and that ambiguity is going to follow him. For Offset, this is a man who already buried a cousin to gun violence, who has preached publicly about the pain of that loss, who built his 2025 album around the idea of self-definition and rebellion. And here he is, shot at a casino, in a situation connected to a beef that started over $10,000. There are no winners in that valet area on April 6th. As of right now, April 8th, 2026, here's where everything stands. Offset is recovering at Memorial Regional Hospital. His representative confirms stable condition. The shooter has not been publicly identified or charged. Lil Tjay is facing misdemeanor charges, disorderly conduct, and driving without a valid license. His attorney is maintaining he had zero involvement in the actual shooting. He has not been charged with anything related to the gun. The Seminole Police Department investigation is ongoing. 2 individuals were detained. The full picture of what happened in that valet area has not been officially established. The internet is doing what the internet does, speculating, making memes, picking sides, running wild theories. But the real answers are going to come from that investigation. What I will say is this: watch what charges come next, if any. Watch whether anyone gets charged with the actual shooting. Watch whether Tjay faces anything beyond the misdemeanor level. Because right now the story the public has is incomplete. And in cases like this, the truth almost always comes out eventually, either through court documents, through leaked information, or through someone deciding they're going to tell their version. Yo, $10,000. That's how this started. Alone at a casino, an unanswered phone call, a Twitch stream where someone kept it too real, a social media post with a chain and a subliminal, a challenge to a live that nobody agreed to, and then a valet area in Hollywood, Florida, a Monday night. Shots fired. This is what happens when pride meets poverty meets public humiliation meets unresolved energy. This is what happens when 2 men from 2 very different worlds, a 24-year-old from the Bronx who has already survived 7 bullets, and a 34-year-old from Atlanta who has already buried a cousin, end up in the same physical space without any resolution to a beef that was burning for months. The culture has got to reckon with this. No cap, because we celebrate this stuff online. We RT the callouts. We post the memes. We sub to the channels that break down the beef in real time, like this one. And there's nothing wrong with paying attention to what's happening in the culture, but we also have to be real about the fact that when these beefs go from digital to physical, real people get hurt. Offset is alive. Lil Tjay is out here on misdemeanor charges. The investigation is ongoing, and somewhere in Hollywood, Florida, the full truth about what happened on that Monday night is still sitting in a police report waiting to come out. When it does, we're going to be right here to break it all the way down. No filter, no fluff, just the facts and the real implications for the culture. Drop a comment telling me who you think is really in the wrong here. Jay for airing Offset out publicly, or Offset for allegedly ducking his debts and then escalating the situation. The conversation is open. Stay locked in. This story ain't done.